So I've got another little product talk for you guys today. So I've been trying to think of what I wanted to do for a video this week. So I went through the box of goodies that I have just as video ideas for stuff in the future, and I came across this thing which I forgot I purchased. It is the Hyperkin N64 to USB controller adapter. Now, I'll be the first to give Hyperkin credit. Over the past several years, their quality of product has improved rather dramatically. Very few of their things that I get nowadays that I have any kind of problems with. The thing about this, though, is this is an older product of theirs. So the last few years of improvements might not have hit this. So I'm very curious to get this guy open, see how it works, see what it's like, and see if it's any good, especially if you're like me and you really like the N64 and the idea of using a authentic N64 controller on something like Nintendo Switch Online catches your attention. And the other good thing about it is I'm running to test with this thing is how well it works with the Switch 2. This definitely has some compatibility issues with some Switch products. A lot of controllers and whatnot have gotten firmware updates to allow them to work on the Switch 2, but I looked and I couldn't find one for this. So we're gonna see if this will even function on the Switch 2. I'll be very curious to know if this does actually work. But let's adjust the view, get this guy open, and we'll see how it functions. All right, let's do it. Now, already I'm a little annoyed at this because it's in that packaging that everyone loves, because there's no good way to get it open because it's just melted shut all the way around it. That's unfortunately already a knock because I hate this kind of packaging. I hate having to get scissors to get into see my new toy. But let's get it open. Luckily the plastic's kind of crap, so it does just fall apart pretty easily. We already got the guy out, but I want to make sure there's no like... Oh, there is instructions in here. Good. This actually tell me for sure if there's a firmware update or if there's a way to update the firmware or not. No, it's just telling you put it into PC or console mode, whether you want to use it on the Switch or on PC/Mac. And it just gives you a little information about using it with Nintendo Switch Online and using it in PC and Mac. And then it does that again in 4 different languages. So if you need English, French, Spanish, or German, there you go. But here is our guy. So I feel like this is probably after Hyperkin stepped up their game, because I have a few of their older products and the plastic usually feels really terrible. But this feels actually really good, really solid. There's very, very little give whenever I squeeze it, and that's always a good sign. The cable is fine. I feel like this could have been just a little bit longer, but really you're just gonna take your N64 controller, plug it into that, and then drop this into your computer or into the Switch dock. It doesn't need to be long. I just wish it were a little bit longer, because if it were longer, I would probably take this and mount it like under my desk or something. That way I could give my desk a controller port. I think that would be pretty sick. But oh well, cable's short. As long as it works, it doesn't really matter because you have a lot of length of cable to work with an N64 controller. The port itself feels fine. It doesn't really have the grip that plugging into an N64 would have, but it's not like it just falls in like other adapters I've used in the past too. It does have a little bit of hold there to where it's not gonna just fall off. So that's good. You've got your little switch here on the back, PC, console. Just change it over to whichever one you're going to be plugging it into. I'm going to be testing both, so we're going to make sure both of them work like they should. It says in the instructions that it works with Mac or PC, so we'll see how it works on Mac. But yeah, that's a pretty unremarkable unboxing. It literally is just the product and a little instruction booklet. So let's get this guy plugged into a few things and see how it functions. All right, so I've got the actual item here. We're going to just drop it into our USB hub. I didn't really expect anything to happen when I plugged it in, and it didn't, but that's fine. So we can test this guy out, make sure it's actually being recognized. So let's go into the OpenMU settings, and whatever that is, that might be it. Okay. Oh my God. Oh my God. So I realize that's just me being a dumb. Why is that happening? I think it's something with the sensitivity. Let me adjust the camera so I can better show you, so I can better have the thing in frame. Yeah, that's better. Oh, it's also set to console mode, which is interesting that it still worked. So if you accidentally flub it up and do it wrong, then you're gonna be okay. Whoops. Let's go back to my settings and, oh, okay. It registers as a Hyperkin adapter when you actually have it in PC mode. So that's good. Oh, and it stopped freaking out immediately whenever I put it into PC mode. So just make sure it's set into PC mode. That's the smart thing to do. Make sure it's in, just make sure it's in PC mode. If you put it in PC mode, it will actually, you know, work like it's supposed to and not freak out. So I'll be interested to try both actually over on the Switch whenever we go there. But let's try this again. It feels exactly like I would expect it to feel, you know? Let's see if I can hit Owless. I do struggle a little bit with actually doing Mario 64 tricks on an actual N64 because I'm so used to doing them with an Xbox controller. Come on. Come on, Mario. There we go. Okay, cool, I hit it. All right, so test number 2 is to be... My rice is done. All right, so step number 2 is gonna be to take the Hyperkin adapter, make sure it's flipped to console mode, and then plug it into the Switch dock. And let's see what happens. It is registered as for the Switch, and it works just fine. No, no. Okay, well that was the setup, but it was supposed to work. Either way, works as intended. Now I apologize for the shift in audio quality, but I had to change over to my lapel mic to be able to do this. I've got the Switch 2 pulled up here, and I'm gonna plug this guy into the USB port on the Switch 2. You can see I'm over here. Now it does plug right in, but frankly it better because, you know, it's a USB port. Oh, would you look at that? It works on Switch too. That's great to see, actually. Animal Well does not recognize it, but that's fine. Probably is not designed to work with a Nintendo 64 controller. Also, I was not using the Player One. So one thing to note, if you are gonna use this and an N64 controller on Switch games, it said this in the manual, but it treats the C buttons as the right stick, not as X and Y. Now, I'm sure you could go into some controller remappings and make that work, but by default, it does not work like that. Just FYI. And there you go, an authentic N64 controller on the Switch 2, which is great because unfortunately, I really don't like the NSO N64 controller. It just is kind of bad. Yeah, there's definitely something up with this stick. When getting a lot of drift when I shouldn't be. Whoa, what? Okay, so actually, issue. There might be a way to go in and remap some buttons, which there needs to be because the B button behaves as an A button on the Switch 2. Okay, so there is actually a problem with this thing on the Switch 2. Good to know. All right, well now we've got to test something. I'm gonna put it into PC mode and plug it in and see what happens. It won't even recognize it in PC mode. Okay, so that's actually a problem. It will not register, it mismatches the buttons. It mismatches the buttons on the Switch 2. Wait, no, because the Animal Well registered the B button and A button separately. Okay, that's weird. That's a problem in the N64 emulator because here, like I've got A button and B button, they work as they're supposed to. Interesting, what is going on there? It recognizes them as different inputs in the Switch OS, so that's something in here that needs to be adjusted. Let's try a different emulator and see if it works. That's something in the N64 emulator because something like Metroid here, it works just fine. That's just gonna be a setting you have to change then to make A and B not the same button on the N64. And who knows, it might work just fine for you. It might just work just fine out of the box for you. Yeah, that is the Hyperkin USB N64 adapter. It's an interesting little thing that can fill a niche in your setup if it's something that you're needing. I personally have gotten so used to using modern Bluetooth controllers with games, with retro games, so any kind of lag or something that you might experience from those, I'm already adjusted to. But if you're more hardcore and you want like a proper authentic controller experience when playing these games, then this will definitely give you that experience. And it counts as a wired connection, so any lag that you would experience with the Bluetooth controller should be gone with this. So yeah, if it fills a niche in your setup, then definitely I would say it's worth it. But if you're wanting something that kind of bridges the gap between that authentic controller feel and modern controller tech, then stay tuned because pretty soon I've got something we're going to talk about. I think that's going to be it for me for this one though. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, make sure to hit that like button. And if you like what I do here, then hit subscribe because that does help me out a lot. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I'm looking forward to bringing you even more controller accessory videos just like this one as the days go on. So again, thank you guys for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one, y'all.